Next speaker is Matthew Theobald. Matthew has spent around 20 years in project management and in all sorts of different environments and different areas across Europe and the UK. And probably about 18 months ago, came across NLP and used a couple of the tools and techniques that I think he'll agree changed the way he's going to think about projects forever. And he's going to talk about, well, the title is No More Gantt Charts. So if you want to throw all of your Gantt charts away and never use one again, then Matthew's the person to listen to. So I'd like to welcome Matthew onto the stage, please.
Thanks, Martin. Good morning, everyone. So, no more Gantt charts. You may be wondering how this is going to be possible. I've spent about 20 years being involved in projects. I've worked on projects that were big across many sites and countries, and also on projects that were very small, quick, and fun to do. And one thing I've noticed that most of these projects focus on is creating a Gantt chart and then letting it rule the project team religiously. I can see a few nodding heads around the room, so I'm not alone. What I'd like to do now is to shrink the Gantt chart back down to size. I'd like to turn it into just one thing in the toolbox that the project team uses. And to do this, I'd like to share my experiences of using NLP tools and techniques. Some of the things I'm going to talk about will look familiar to you. They'll probably strike a chord. I worked in a company a while back that had a very strong project management culture. Planning and using project plans was everything to them. We'd have a plan in the department, and to create that plan, we would have a meeting. But before the meeting to create the plan, we would have a pre-meeting. And we ended up with 3 levels of planning in that organisation. One was a very high-level plan that looked at the bigger picture. Underneath that was a more detailed departmental plan. And underneath that, there were detailed plans for each of us working on the project that said, on a Monday you do this, on a Tuesday you do that, and so on throughout the weeks. And every week, on top of these plans, we had a Monday morning meeting that would review what we were going to do throughout the week. And when we came to a Friday, we would look back over the week and look at what we'd done. So they were incredibly focused on these Gantt charts. But my wife can actually top that. We were talking about the presentation a few days ago, and she said, well, that's okay, but actually I've been in a much tougher situation. The place she was working at the time was the sort of culture where if you did well on a project, you were put onto another project. And she did pretty well at what she was good at, so she ended up being the project team representative on 5 projects at the same time. Each project had its planning meeting at least once a week. So it got to the stage that she was spending so much time in these planning meetings that there was no time to do the work they were talking about. And they couldn't understand why these projects took so long to make any progress. If we carry on focusing on these nuts and bolts, these tasks and how we're going to do things, is it any surprise that nothing changes? The context, as we've talked about already this morning, of how we work is changing whether we like it or not. And to repeat what's already been said this morning, as many famous people have said, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you always got. I'd like to suggest that, given that our context of work is really changing, that if you carry on doing what you always did, you're probably going to get less now than you used to by doing the same things. So perhaps it's time for us to have a way of working with our projects that's less complex, a way that actually takes account of people. The reality of project management is that it's a discipline that's been around for decades. There are bookshelves you can have full of books about how to manage projects. You can go on training courses, you can attend seminars, go to conferences, massive conferences, to talk about all the details of how you manage projects. And we're living in a world where there's increasing pressure to do more, to do things faster, to do things with less resource, and for the products to last for a lot longer. And there's a pressure to take shortcuts, even when we know that they're going to be dangerous for us. And often, looking at projects, I see that there's more companies working together on the projects. They're working in virtual teams. A colleague of mine worked in a virtual team, and he was the only person on that team from the sponsor company. Everyone else on the team, suppliers, consultants, etc., were from other companies and spread right the way across the world, so they could never come together. And people say to me that we're losing our way as we're working in projects. We're asked to create a document, but I don't know why it's there. And when I ask someone else why we're creating a document, they don't know either. We're creating it for its own sake. People also tell me that they're having difficulty understanding where the projects are going to understand what it is they're trying to deliver. A company I was involved with a while ago had a project to deliver in 18 months a new wound care product. Now, this project involved an R&D group and a marketing group. For the R&D organisation, in 18 months, they saw the project just being complete when they'd got the wound care product submitted to the regulatory authorities for approval. But the marketing guys had a very different perspective. They saw that in 18 months' time, they would have products ready to go into the pharmacies, into the wholesalers, ready for patients to actually use. But these two teams never talked to each other. So 18 months down the line, looking at where the project was finishing, the R&D guys sat back and said, fantastic, we've done a great job. This product is now ready. It's gone into the regulatory authority for submission for approval. The marketing guy said, what on earth's going on? We were expecting to have product to ship to our customers today. We've got nothing. All this marketing effort, all these people interested in the product, what have you done? It actually took this company 18 more months to fix the problems that arose. Their product went from being the first in the marketplace for that particular wound care technology to just being one of 6 or 7 that were around. Imagine the cost in terms of lost sales. Imagine the effort that's gone into that project for very little return. It all came down to those two teams not coming together, talking and discussing what they were seeing as the end point.